whatever you learn in your MBA course, you need to apply those kind of skills, apply those skills in your problem solving. So that's what is something very important. Be prepared for some technological questions maybe. So as I said that technology has become a big part of consulting firms these days. So if you know about some technology, please highlight it, go ahead and highlight it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another podcast with Grow Junction. And today we have with us Mr. Arindam Roy. So, before starting the podcast, I would like to give a brief introduction about Sir. Sir has done his bachelor's in BTech from the University of Mumbai in Electronics and Telecommunications Engineering. He has done his MBA from the prestigious college IMT Ghaziabad, and currently is working as a consultant with Deloitte. So it's great to have you in our podcast. And a lot of people were asking for someone who is a consultant, who's working as a consultant for our podcast. So it's great to have you. So if you can start by giving a brief introduction about, like most people know about Deloitte, a brief introduction about your role at Deloitte. What are your KPIs? What are your KRAs? What are your day-to-day responsibilities at Deloitte as a consultant?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Vaibhav and Grow Junction team, for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here. And firstly, please don't call me sir. You can address me by my name. Okay. I'm not very elder to you. So, okay. So I will start like, hi guys. My name is Arindam Roy. I'm currently working as a consultant with Deloitte. I am part of client projects which deal with implementing ERP solutions to our clients in the US. So I work for Deloitte USA. So most of our clients are US based. So as you know, even from your MBA courses, that ERP has become like an integral part of any company's day-to-day working now. So a lot of companies, even during this pandemic phase, they have undergone huge, massive digital transformations, which has helped their businesses. So naturally, the demand for these ERP implementations has gone up. So in ERP implementation, we first have to understand the client's businesses. We need to do some research about their industries. We need to do some research about the business practices which are prevalent in their industry. Then once we are done with this phase, we need to identify some opportunities where we as consultants can bring some efficiencies in their business. It can be through technology, it can be through digital transformation, probably blockchain, probably through AI, whatever, probably through business process reengineering, like changing some of their business as per, what the best industry practices are out there. And then we also need to take in the client requirements, because at the end of the day, we are giving a solution to client problems. So it's very important for us to understand what all business requirements and challenges do they have. And at the end of it, we need to map these business processes to the ERP so that it can be a wholesome solution to their problem.
Okay, and I would also like the audience would like to know something about the ERP. I know it's enterprise resource planning. Like, how does the
Yes.
software work? How do you integrate it into businesses? So, a bit understanding about that if the audiences can get, because people have been hearing about ERP, but you would give a more practical solution, like how ERP
Right.
is used practically.
Okay, so I will give a very layman answer for this, which even I had learned it when I was entering into ERP. So earlier, companies used to function based on file records. Then it used to be, very arbitrary, like all the departments in a particular company. Like for example, the inventory department didn't have much knowledge of what is going into accounting or what is going on into the marketing side of the company. So as somebody who wants to want coherence in the day-to-day functioning of the company, it becomes very difficult for them to understand something outside their own functional. Then this business got transferred from files to Excel files. So companies used to function on Excel files. And now in the past 10 years, it has been like eventual transition to ERP, because softwares are something which are being embraced by anything, right? Like everything we do today are based on software. So naturally the company are also interested into software solutions to their problems. So what ERPs do is basically they try to merge all your operations. Okay, they try to give an accountability to your operations. So for example, if today there is something going on in the financial department, so all these GL invoices, all these transactions have to be recorded somewhere. Okay, so not only this, like for example, if there is an inventory for the company, so a company works on, like, procurement of their raw materials, sourcing their raw materials, getting the best quotes from their suppliers. So all of this information is too complex to be, stored in like manually these days. So software just eases the process. It helps them, identify what's the market rate right now, what's the best price they can get. They can have a whole supplier list for them, like the supplier quotes, etc. So it basically gives them a very realistic approach of solving things. And it helps, decentralization of processes. So earlier, as I mentioned, like the processes were very, sorry, I meant centralization of processes. So earlier the process is very decentralized. Like a marketing team would never come to know how is the finance of the team doing, of the company doing. So basically ERP is used to centralize this whole process, so that in one click glance, one can understand something outside their departments as well. At the same time, it brings in a lot of efficiencies in a lot of business processes. Okay.
Okay, so what I have listened from your answer and observed is that it brings in a lot of integration of different business
Yes.
departments. Like
Yes. Yes.
earlier, the finance department used to work separately. That's your domain, and the communication gap would be there because
Right.
maybe the Excel file you have to share that Excel file, download it. But now, simultaneously, if something happens in the sales department, the finance department will know about it.
Right. Right.
Also, I had a question since a lot of people have an ambition in MBA grads to become entrepreneurs. So, if
Right.
you can give an example of few like open source ERPs, if there are, which they can use, because initially you do not have enough funds as if you want to start a company, if you want to start a startup. So, if there is there any open source ERPs like they are for other softwares?
Yeah, there are certainly a lot of ERP solutions platforms. I'm not able to recollect as of now the names, but I will certainly, like, maybe I can send across to you at a later point of time. But yeah, I mean, ERP solutions, having said that, they are a little expensive, but it completely depends on your usage. So today we are implementing ERP solutions from like huge clients to a very small businesses. So ERP is not just for the big businesses, it's also for the small businesses. It depends on how much like requirement do you have, what sort of applicability do you have in your business. So accordingly you can use it.
Coming to another aspect, I think a lot of our students would aspire to work in a company like Deloitte. Deloitte may be the dream company for a lot of people. So, anything that you would like to share your experience of working at Deloitte, something that you have found unique at Deloitte. You have had an experience of working at other companies as well. So, something about your working experience at Deloitte.
Yeah, so it has also been my one of my dream companies, because I always wanted to get into consulting, like after I was like about to get done with my MBA. So Deloitte is one of the like biggest consulting firms out there. So joining Deloitte was a prestigious thing, and it actually, when we joined Deloitte, all the things which we had heard about Deloitte, and all the, like, I mean, the good things, it actually came true. So the whole organization culture at Deloitte is very welcoming. I mean, people here are incredibly like helpful. They really give you a lot of scope to settle down in your business. Although a lot of people will think that if you have a previous work experience, the company expects you to work at a certain level. But with Deloitte, a company like Deloitte, you get that ample amount of opportunities to settle in and to understand what business would be suitable for you, what kind of projects will be suitable for you. Even for my first client project, it wasn't like directly assigned to me. I had got a chance to say yes or no to the project. So that's where it starts. I mean, you always have this control over where your career trajectory needs to be. Nothing is like forced down upon you. So that is something really good. And in a scale like at a large scale, what happens is, the number of projects which you get exposed to in a company like Deloitte and the number of learning opportunities that you get is incredible. So for somebody who's starting their journeys, be it after MBA or be it after their undergraduation, the learning opportunities are immense. Like, I would say we get some learning access resources where we get certified in like thousands and thousands of courses, which are really beneficial towards your CV. So for a fresher or for somebody who's starting their career, Deloitte is a really good place to start with.
Yeah. So coming to my next question is about what do you think? Like you have been working as a consultant for quite some time now. What do you think that you feel are the key skills at your job? Means you feel
Okay.
like okay, like if someone wants to work as a consultant, he's in his MBA, he's in his bachelor's, he should work on these skills so that he can perform better at the job.
I think like above the eligibility criteria and above the academic qualifications, if there are two skill sets which are very important, which I feel is one is problem solving, like problem solving attitude which you have with your daily life problems. It's very important. And another is proclivity to technology. So if I go into detail in these two skill sets, so a consultant's life is all about problem solving. I mean, you get to face client challenges, new complicated problems each and every day, and you would not have a set solution to any of these problems. I mean, every day you will have to come with a new solution, probably use your past experiences, some technology you have learned about. So you have to continuously apply yourself out, like whatever skills you have gained in your past experience. So it's about problem solving. You need to be a problem solver. Another thing is proclivity to technologies. I say this because consulting these days has like transformed massively in the past 10 years. So earlier when we used to talk about management consulting, it used to be only circling about management decisions, etc. But as you know, like digitalization is almost in every field right now. Like in all traditional services, digitization has got embedded. So naturally in consulting also, why you need technology is because the client problems are such that they need some technological solutions. Okay, it will not just be solved with simple decision making. So that's the reason technology is something which you will be constantly using. You cannot escape that. So the love for technology, love for learning new kind of technology is very important for somebody.
So two things that you pointed out is first having a problem solving mindset. And the
Yes.
second thing is since businesses now are based on technology and you as a
Yeah.
consultant will give solution for these businesses, you must first understand these technologies
Yes.
to
Yes.
provide
Yes.
solutions to them.
Yeah.
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 Another whenever I talk to consultants, a very pertinent question that comes up is with MBA freshers is that like you can take my example. Like I am an engineering background and I'm doing my MBA from IIM Bodh. So as a fresher, can I join into a consulting position? And if I can join, what does the company see in me that it hires me for a consulting position? So how can I showcase that skill that I can be someone who would give consulting role, be taken up for a consulting role?
Yeah. 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 So consultant, I mean, joining a consulting firm doesn't, I don't think it has a certain kind of like eligibility criteria. Of course, there might be some eligibility criteria based on the role which you're joining in, but you can always join a consulting firm no matter, like, even if you don't have an experience. So about your second part of the question, where like what an interview might see in you if
Yes.
you're interviewing for a consulting problem is, consulting is all about, as I mentioned, it's all about innovative thinking. It's all about problem solving attitude, understanding problem scenarios at a very meticulous levels, or maybe structurization of problem scenarios. So what I would suggest is, most of the MBA students, I mean, including you, must be doing some internship, right? It doesn't have to be in consulting domain. Whatever experience you have had, however small it is, the interviewer is more focused on understanding what sort of problem or challenge did you face in the job which you were given. How did you comprehend that particular challenge? How did you research about a possible solutions or available solutions for this problem? What was your approach in bringing out the solution for this problem? And what were your significant takeaways from this project? And of course, like, organization needs some output from you, so what kind of impact did you make during your with your contributions towards this? So I will tell you my example. Like, before I landed up with the consulting job, my internship in MBA was not into consulting, it was into digital marketing.
Yes.
So, and it wasn't even like into something very fancy, some very fancy branded company or something. But what attracted the interviewer towards my profile was the way I had conducted myself into the internship, the way I solved the problem which was given to me in the internship. So I think that is more important.
So the basic thing that a fresher can look out for is to show that interviewer the situations that he has been in, a difficult situation where he has to come out with a solution and drive the interview in that way. Like, these are the situations. This is basically the thought process, that this is the thought
Right,
process I used in order to go out of that situation. Okay.
right,
So, and another important point that was came in my mind while you were answering the question is how important, if a fresher wants to go into, say, consulting, is that he participates in a lot of case study competitions in his MBA. How I believe that it will help, but I would like your point of view on that as well.
Yeah, certainly. Like, as you pointed out, consulting is all about having an analytical mindset. And, analytical mindset cannot be built overnight theoretically, right? It has to come through your the projects which you solve, the case study analysis which you do in your MBA colleges. You have to polish your communication skills on a daily basis with people around you. When you participate in a lot of things, like, for example, you are doing this thing right now for your organization, you're communicating with people, right? So that communication skill is very important when it comes to consultant. So you need to polish them, right? And then you need to participate in case study competitions also. The thing about case study competitions is, like, even in my like MBA days, I had participated in a lot of case study competitions. The thing over here is, don't go for an overkill. Like, don't try to participate in every possible case study competition. Just try finding out what exactly is your domain, what exactly is your interest area in, and accordingly try to participate in a few case study competition, but have a very quality presentation for them. So at the end of the day, it depends on how much time you invest behind a particular problem, and how much of a quality approach have you built for the particular problem. So I mean, in even in my MBA days, I will say in every MBA colleges, it works the same way, right? One person in the entire project group does the work. So what I would suggest is, be that go-to problem solver for your group. Because MBA is a course where you cannot, like, just learn the course from textbooks. It has to repeatedly come from your daily project solving. It has to come from your daily how you present your case studies. So it's a like very long process which you need to build on.
Yeah, a very important point that you raised in your answer for students who would be entering the MBA is, when you go for case study competitions, go for quality rather than going for
Yeah,
quantity.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
go, don't go be guy that I have participated in 20 case study competition and won one. So it's not
Right,
like that. You participate in 5, go to finals, go till semifinals. You will learn more than participate in
right,
20.
right.
another point that I would like to ask is about something about CV. So how can one, means what, number one, how, what point should he include in his CV, so that it shows, it represents, because till the point he reaches that interview round, before that they will see that problem solving ability in his CV. So how can he
Right.
show that problem solving ability or that analytical ability in his CV? How can he represent that in his CV so that he gets shortlisted
S-
for the interview?
Okay. Okay. So firstly, like before applying for any kind of job in this world, like not only for consulting, be it any domain, it's very important to understand what kind of role are you applying for. You need to be very thorough with the job description. You need to be, understand what exactly the company is looking for. For example, like I used to tell my friends that, if a company is looking for a, spin bowler, they will never go for a Virat Kohli. They will always go for a Harbhajan Singh, maybe. So, I mean, that's an example for the cricket lovers. But yeah, the idea here is, companies are not looking for superstars. They are basically looking for somebody who can solve their problem. So they need somebody who can bring in some expertise in that particular domain. So you need to be aware about that. So you need to be very thorough with the job description, and you need to see, like, don't try to like bluff or anything in your CV, but try to bring out the points, which are very relevant to the job description. Sometimes we have a habit of like blabbering a lot of things in our CV which are not even relevant, like some things which we include which are not really the interest zone of the company. So try to understand what the company wants in you. So if I say problem solving, try to, like, build on those experience details. Try to fit in some numbers which you have, like, numbers is something which is very attractive in your CV. So probably, like, I will take the case of my internship. Like, I had taken out all the numbers, like based on what sort of, in digital marketing, for example,
Hmm.
what sort of growth rate do you have with your followers, or what kind of, how much of visibility did your content increase, things, numbers like this. So insights are something, data insights are something which is very, very important here.
Two important points that you raised, I'd like to brief it for the audience. Number one is make the CV little bit tweak according to the job description.
Yeah.
Like a very nice example you gave, that if a company is looking for a spin bowler, it will not go for Virat Kohli. It will go for a Harbhajan Singh. So see what the company is looking for and try to put those relevant points in your CV. Because when the company sees, okay, what job description is and what is written as CV is matching, but don't try to bluff on it. If you don't have those points, then don't try to bluff. Be as original as possible. And second thing is, whatever you have done in your internships, whatever you have done in your company, if you have to work ex, try to quantify those in form of numbers. So these are the two important points that you raised while answering this question. Another thing that I would like to ask is, once that CV gets shortlisted, the next part is the interview part. So, what does a typical consulting interview look like? And the second part of that question is how to prepare, if you have a proper strategy, if you use a strategy for preparation. So, how to prepare for those interviews?
So I would say, like, be prepared for those like pressure like situations. Be prepared for some caselets being thrown at you. So be prepared for some number crunching, because a lot of, for example, in my interview, I had been asked about, some problems, small problem scenarios. Where, for example, I will tell you an example, like, there is some particular airport and you need to find out, if you're setting up a cab business over there, then how much of business revenue can you generate out of this airport. So what the firm is trying to look here is not on the, like, sheer amount of revenue which you're like, whether the revenue is high or whether the revenue is low. It is trying to understand that how are you approaching to that number of revenue. So you need to understand all the parameters, all the external and internal factors in doing so. So you need to be very basically, whatever you learn in your MBA course, you need to apply those kind of skills, apply those skills in your problem solving, So that's what is something very important. Be prepared for some technological questions maybe. So as I said that technology has become a big part of consulting firms these days. So if you know about some technology, please highlight it, go ahead and highlight it. In about a banking industry, like how can KYCs be improved in a banking industry, and I answered that with the help of blockchain technology being used and how it can transform this business. So that is something which gives your answer a very important weightage, because you are actually trying to solve it not just like on words, you are actually trying to bring in some technological input there. So it's very important.
That's a very important point that people preparing for consulting interviews can take. That
Yeah,
if you have knows about some kind of technology, you know how it works. If you integrate it in your answers, the companies like about it like that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
when you were giving example of that airport, like in one of my interviews, it was asked like you are setting up a school, you have these many floors, these many classes, you have to provide doors, lights, and fans. So what will be the cost? So that was one of the interesting situation. Like I was like, why are they asking this in an MBA interview? That was one of the interesting situations that
So
happened.
they are just trying to study, how much, whatever you have learned so far, how much are you able to apply this? Like, what sort of parameters do you consider? What sort of parameters have you missed in taking out these revenues? So,
Yeah, that is the right thing you said. They are trying to analyze your approach and how you think,
yeah,
whether you're
right.
taking into consideration all the parameters or not.
Yeah.
Another thing that I would like to ask, it's somewhat of a personal question, is how was your MBA experience at IMT Ghaziabad? Anything that you did, you feel that I did it correctly? Anything that you feel that, okay, these were things I could have done better? Because people entering their MBA, many of them would be going to IMT Ghaziabad as well. So some advice or tip, or just reliving that experience, you can share some light on that.
So I will tell you, MBA is like 2 years of excitement of your life. I think those are two best years of your life. Okay. So, but at the same time, those are very two crucial years of your life. Okay. Because MBA for a lot of us is like, for 90% of the people, it's the last educational phase of your life before entering into the corporate, right? So it's sort of a platform where you groom yourself before you grace the industries. So, and MBA is also that particular node where you take your career in n number of possibilities. Like, I can remember in my during my placement times, like somebody is entering into consulting, somebody is going into product management, somebody is going into marketing. So it's an important juncture in your life, from where your career starts. So you need to be very prepared for that situation. Placements of placements in the MBA college happen usually at the end of the course, but you need to make sure that till the time you reach that juncture, you are just prepared about, and you have that mindset of what industry do you want to enter into. So take your time, like take your 1.5 years, or like whatever time you have, to understand what sort of businesses are out there, and what are your skill sets, and how can you match those roles. So I always suggested that if you want to enter into a particular industry, don't just like think about, okay, what is the pay package of this industry, what is the growth rate of this industry. Those are also important points, I don't disagree. But try to understand what is the role and responsibilities which I need to face once I go into this job. Where will my career trajectory be 10 years down the line in this job? I would suggest, like talk to some seniors, talk to some alums when you get to interact during the guest lectures. Talk like try to understand their experiences. What sort of challenges do they face in their day-to-day lives? What sort of what sort of problem solving do they do? So that will help you understand more that whether that career is exactly suited for you or not. Okay, so it's very important. And I would say make the most of your MBA days. I mean, go for networking. I mean, academics is just one part of MBA. which is okay, which is I guess 20% of the part, but rest 80% of your MBA is totally about building up those people skills, building the network which you have in and around your campus life. Try to network with all these industry leaders. Try to improve your communication skills, do a lot of case presentations. So I will say, I mean, there are two kinds of people I have seen in my MBA days. One are like who are constantly, saying that MBA is something which is very generic. Like there is nothing new to learn in MBA. Okay, like it's everything is like something which you already know. And there are another set of, so these kind of people are basically just like they are just living these 2 years of life like anything. But MBA is not nothing, like not to be like just lived like a regular thing, right? It's about how maximum amount of things can you take out of your MBA. So try to be very proactive in a lot of things, try to participate in a lot of things, try to do those try to be part of those committee works, try to be part of those activities in your college, try to make a lot of friends, try to make a lot go into those extracurricular activities.
Yeah,
That's what
like
I would say.
very important point that you raise is MBA is a place where you'll get plenty of opportunities. Maybe in
Yes.
future when you enter the corporate, even these opportunities you have to grab or pick and choose from someone. But MBA gives you a lot of opportunity. It's up to you that whether you want to take that opportunity, take it up, improve, and work on the skills that you lack and improve the skills that you're already good at. And another point for freshers that you also, but particularly for freshers, is that you may not have any job experiences, but people who are your alums, people who come for guest lectures, interact with them because they will give you a very good idea about what it will feel like being in those jobs. Like they could listen to you this podcast. Like, okay, if I want to be a consultant, how would it feel like being in consultant? So they can learn from you that as well.
Right. Very right.
And so coming to my next question is like once your CV gets shortlisted, you go for the interview. We spoke about the interview. Is next is you enter into the corporate. So anyone suppose entering a junior to you, entering as a consultant in Deloitte or some other company, what advice would you give them initially entering into Deloitte? Any piece of advice you'll give them like, okay, now this is your life going to be, and some piece of advice that you may have received just entering as a into the company.
Okay, so two advices I would definitely give to somebody entering into consulting or any other industry is, first few years of your industry life are going to be very crucial in terms of, when you join in as a fresher, you are like a fresh slate. Nobody has any expectations from you compared to when you are a lateral hire, when you come with certain kind of experience, you come with certain kind of expertise. So like when you come in with a clean slate, it's very easy for you to shine. I mean, it's very easy for you to make a mark because nobody is expecting anything from you. So quite many times what happens is when we enter into a company and when the company gives you that scope to try and try out a lot of things, and they really don't put a lot of pressure, a lot of people may become complacent, like we are earning a lot of money right now, we want to enjoy this life, we want to have a complacent life. But like you need to really work hard in these initial years, because once you have made an impression for yourself in the industry, once you have made that impression with the leaders of your company, it's just going to set the tone for the rest of the next 5 years. I mean, it's very cliche. It sounds like an uncle advice where you say, beta 10th kar le, and then your life is going to be very chill after this. But like realistically, it's very something which I've faced. Like, initially managers are very open to everyone. Nobody is like judging you for anything which you do, right? But once, as and when you start working, your work ethics is something which is really being observed by everybody around you. So get your work ethics very right. Be that, be very sincere to your work. Try to set the tone right for you, because once that impression is created about your work and about your diligence, then that is something which is really going to benefit you like in your career going ahead. and at the same time, have that networking attitude which you continue from your MBA, because you need to, in big organizations it's very difficult to sometimes interact with people outside your domain. So otherwise you will end up just meeting your own team members and meeting your own domain. So you need to be very proactive and going out there, meeting leaders, meeting other people from other domains, understand what their work is. Probably you would want to shift sometime into some other domain. So have a great understanding about the whole business, how the different people work like.
It's very two very important points that you raised. Number one is having the mindset of understanding the complete business rather than just your role specific and people in and around you that matter. Understand the whole business, because later you may not even shift, but you may have some kind of dependency on that business,
Yeah,
that part of the
right.
business, and you will require them in terms of connection. And another important point that you raised, that initially when you have lesser responsibilities, still develop a mindset of taking up responsibilities, being in charge of your work, taking your work seriously, because that will create an impression. And as you grow up the ladder, as your experience increases, people will have this impression about you that you are someone who is ready to take up responsibilities, ready to take up work. So initially create that mindset in your company. Uh,
Yes.
So, as we come to nearly the end of this podcast, I would like to ask a question which I personally very love to ask. Is that any advice that you have received in? It could be a general advice. It could be about life. It could be about studies. It could be about corporate. Any advice that you have received in your lifetime that you believe, okay, this has stayed with me. This has helped me throughout my life. So, any suggestion from your teachers, your mentors, it could be from your parents as well. Any final piece of advice that you have received, share with our audience.
Okay. So one big advice which I have received in my life, which has changed my life a lot, is backing yourself. Backing yourself is really important. There could be situations in your life when you will have your crest and troughs in your life, right? Everything in your life won't be consistent. You will have your good and bad times. But what matters is sometimes you also start questioning your decisions. Sometimes you're questioning your the situation, problems and all. But it's very important that you back yourself up. And there has been situations in life where I think that I'm lacking behind in, like, compared to my peers, or I'm not doing this right. But it really helps that you are continuously backing yourself in this situation. Your self motivation is something which is really important, because at the end of the day, like, whoever motivates you and whatever motivational content you see out there, until and unless you do some introspection on your own and you are self motivating yourself, nothing is going to work on you. So that is something which is going to be a part of your life throughout, and it will really help you in the future, and it has helped me in the, like, to be where I am right now.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, because a lot of people from our audience were asking that we want to listen to a consultant, we want to know what are the skills required to be a consultant. A lot of people ask in our podcast, I'm a fresher, can I go into consultant? So these were a lot of pertinent questions that were coming up when we were posting podcast on our channel. So thank you, sir, for clearing them out. I feel a lot of people will get help from this. A lot of people joining MBA will get help from this, that okay, if I work on these skills as a fresher also, I can join a consulting position. So thank you, sir, for your advice. Thank you for the truckload of information and wisdom you shared with us.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I wish the aspirants all the best for your pursuit towards a consulting journey, and see you soon.
Thank you, sir.